A massive tragedy was averted last week on December 12th when a JetBlue flight from the small Caribbean nation of Curaçao halted its ascent to avoid colliding with a U.S. Air Force refueling tanker. The pilot blamed the military plane for crossing his path.
We almost had a mid-air collision up here. They passed directly in our flight path. They don't have their transponder turned on. It's outrageous, the JetBlue pilot said, according to a recording of his conversation with air traffic control, as quoted by news agency AP.
JetBlue Flight 1112 took off from Curaçao, which is just off the coast of Venezuela, en route to New York City's JFK airport.
We just had traffic pass directly in front of us, within 5 miles of us, maybe 2 or 3 miles, but it was an air-to-air refueler from the United States Air Force, and he was at our altitude. We had to stop our climb, the pilot was quoted by AP as saying.
The pilot said the Air Force plane then headed into Venezuelan airspace. The Pentagon referred the Associated Press to the Air Force for comment. The Air Force did not immediately respond to a request for comment. It comes as the U.S. military has stepped up its drug interdiction activities in the Caribbean and is also seeking to increase pressure on Venezuela's government.
Do you intend on seizing more oil assets from Venezuela and
Well,
more
I wouldn't
tankers?
tell you that. I mean, it wouldn't be very smart for me to tell you that. You know, we're supposed to be a little bit secretive. You're a very big-time reporter, and I don't think I want to tell a big-time reporter or a small-time reporter that. But we are knocking out drugs at levels that nobody's ever seen before. We knocked out 96% of the drugs coming in by water, and nobody can figure out who the 4%. I wouldn't want to be the 4% either, but 96% of the drugs coming in by water. Every one of those boats you see get shot down, you just saved 25,000 American lives. But we knocked out 96% of the drugs coming in by water. And now we're starting by land, and by land is a lot easier. And that's going to start happening. And we're not going to have people destroying our youth, destroying our families. Forget about youth, everybody. You ever see a family with the fentanyl or cocaine? Colombia has at least 3 cocaine factories. That's a different country. We're not happy about it, but we're stopping it. And we've stopped it now on water. You don't even find boats on water. You don't even see fishing boats on water. You want to go fishing in that area? Does anybody want to go fishing in that area? I don't think so. So I just want to say this. We have now a strong border. A year and a half ago, we had millions of people pouring through. Now we have nobody coming in through our border. And we have a strong country. We have a country that's respecting it. We're going to keep it that way. And we're not going to let people kill 300,000 people a year with drugs.
Recently, Venezuelan President Nicolas Maduro has lashed out at Donald Trump, calling the U.S. the Pirates of the Caribbean after Washington seized an oil tanker off Venezuela's coast.
They perpetrated an utterly egregious, absolutely criminal and profoundly illegal act when they carried out a brazen act of kidnapping and audacious robbery, much like the infamous Caribbean pirates of old, on a legitimate merchant vessel, a commercial carrier, a civilian craft, a private ship, indeed a true ship of peace, that was attacked just as it was about to reach the vast expanse of the Atlantic Ocean. Until victory, always.
As you probably know, we've just seized a tanker on the coast of Venezuela, a large tanker, very large. Largest one ever seized, actually. And other things are happening, so.
Can you explain a little more about this Venezuelan oil tanker and share a little more information?
Well, I'll let the people do it, but you see the result, and I guess they probably have released the pictures by now, or pretty soon. You'll discuss that with the appropriate people later on, but no, it was seized for a very good reason.
The oil tanker, who owns that oil tanker?
You'll get that information later.
Okay, and have you spoken to Maduro since your last conversation?
No, I
It's
haven't.
only been one conversation.
No.
We're interested in the seizure of this tanker. What happens to the oil on that ship?
Well, we keep it, I guess.
Where does it go? What port does it go to?
Well, you have to follow the tanker. You're a good newsman, just follow the tanker.
Do you know where it was going? Was it going to China?
Get a helicopter and follow the tanker.
Is it true it's going to
But
Cuba?
I assume we're going to keep the oil.
the vessel has been seized, as you know. And the Department of Justice did that in conjunction with the Coast Guard and the Department of War. The vessel is currently undergoing a forfeiture process right now. The United States currently has a full investigative team on the ground on the vessel, and individuals on board the vessel are being interviewed and any relevant evidence is being seized. With respect to the oil, that's a different issue. As you know, Peter, the vessel will go to a U.S. port, and the United States does intend to seize the oil. However, there is a legal process for the seizure of that oil, and that legal process will be followed. What I will tell you, Peter, is that the Trump administration is focused on doing many things in the Western Hemisphere. The president has taken a new approach that has not been taken by any administration for quite some time to actually focus on what's going on in our own backyard. And there are two things that are very important to this administration. Number one, stopping the flow of illegal drugs into the United States of America, which we know has killed hundreds of thousands of Americans. The president promised on the campaign trail that he would demolish the foreign terrorist organizations and drug cartels around the world, especially right here in our own hemisphere. And you have seen that he is delivering on that promise. With respect to the oil and what happened yesterday, the Department of Justice requested and was approved for a warrant to seize a vessel because it's a sanctioned shadow vessel known for carrying black market sanctioned oil to the IRGC, which you know is a sanctioned entity. So the president is committed to stopping the illegal flow of drugs into our country. He's also fully committed to effectuating this administration's sanction policy, and that's what you saw and the world saw take place yesterday. I think the president considers the seizure of the oil tanker as effectuating the administration's sanction policies, which I've already discussed previously.
Potential invasion or potential land strikes in Venezuela aligned with the president's supporters, the MAGA base, does it risk the potential for a prolonged war and U.S. troops involved in that?
Prolonged war is definitely not something this president is interested in. He's been very clear about that. He wants peace. He also wants to see the end of illegal drugs being trafficked into the United States and taking the lives of hundreds of thousands of Americans across our country. And he's thinking about that every day here at the White House. With every drug boat that is taken out by this administration, we are saving thousands of lives by deterring those drugs and stopping those drugs from flowing into our country.
Do you intend on seizing more oil assets from Venezuela and
I
other
wouldn't
tankers?
tell you that. I mean, it wouldn't be very smart for me to tell you that. You know, we're supposed to be a little bit secretive. You're a very big time reporter, and I don't think I want to tell a big time reporter or a small time reporter that. But we are knocking out drugs at levels that nobody's ever seen before. We knocked out 96% of the drugs coming in by water. And nobody can figure out who the 4%. I wouldn't want to be the 4% either, but 96% of the drugs coming in by water